Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit that like and the subscribe button. And if you have any opinions at all that you would like to share, make sure to leave them down in the comment section. Joe Ely, Lord of the Highway. Joe Ely is an American country singer, songwriter, one-third of the country band The Flatlanders. He went on to start his own solo career 5 years after that band formed and has released 18 studio albums to date. And thanks to a viewer suggestion, I will get to cover his 6th studio album, Lord of the Highway. It's always a pleasure to get some new country to listen to and review, especially some stuff that I genuinely haven't heard at all before, so let's dive in. Where do I stand on Lord of the Highway? Let's find out as I review it track by track. Since I couldn't really find if there were any singles, we will just start at the top of the track list with the title track, Lord of the Highway, which is a track I'm a little bit mixed on. I really enjoy this rockier instrumental. It has a good grit to it with this amazing guitar riff, powerful drums, and a great melody all around. I do also like how Joe maneuvers his way through this instrumental. It's captivating and he has a very strong tone, but his singing voice as a whole is a little bit unique. I'll get into that on a later track, but on here it is mostly tolerable. I think it adds a bit of a storytelling element to the track. It's not pristine, it's not overly polished, but for this case and mainly this instrumental, it kind of works, and it's a pretty good opener. I like the vision he presents this album in. It's a good track, I quite enjoy it. Parentheses, Don't Put a Lock on My Heart has very similar aspects to it, but everything is just dialed slightly back. The instrumental isn't as in-your-face as the title track was. It's a lot more calm and appealing to listen to. The guitar, while still pretty shrill, is mixed a bit more in the background, and the drums have a nice snap to them. Joe's voice here is at one of the times in this record where it's its most enjoyable, harnessing this country element a little bit more directly. He sounds very collected here, simple, light on the ears. It's a satisfying track all around, and lyrically, Joe's singing about this long-distance relationship, how he doesn't want this girl to shove away his love, or lock it away as he puts it. This is definitely one of the better cuts here. I enjoy it quite a lot. Me and Billy the Kid, one of Joe's biggest hits, is the track I kinda mentioned earlier on the title track that we'd get to. I wanted to get into this one so bad. I heard it was the hit, I tried so hard, but this just does not grab me at all. The instrumental is much more tame here, the drums are pushed pretty far back in the mix, and the guitar has this echoey feeling to it, but Joe's voice and how he sings this track gets on all of my nerves. He has this clunky, awkward delivery where he'll either hold a note for too long, or jam out 6 syllables rapid fire, or vice versa, like he's trying to cram all these lyrics into this verse. It sounds very asynchronous, like Joe recording his vocals without any music, and they just slap the instrumental behind him. It does not come off as natural. There's no denying that Joe is a great lyricist and storyteller, demonstrated in this track right here, but I just really wish this track was given one extra take to make it that much better. As it is, frankly, I really don't want to hear it again. Pass. Letter to LA is an 8-minute long track which may just be one of the most grueling listens I've had to sit through in a long time. I was so done with this track after the 3-minute mark, I didn't want to sit through another 5, but I still did, and the track is such a slogfest. It's in a lower tempo with a very minor instrumental for the most part, especially during the verses. The tempo doesn't change, staying at this dour tone for most of the song. The solos are nice, I don't have a problem with them, they're easily the best part of the track as well, and lyrically it seems to be about this phase in LA, someone going through Hollywood and getting parts in different movies, but ending up forgetting where they came from in the first place, letting this fame go to their head. In all honesty, I really don't want to sit through the whole experience again. Hard pass. No Rope Daisy-O is really just a short 50-second interlude on this record. The guitar is nice, Joe's raspy, gritty voice is appealing as he sings about this woman sneaking into his life, his dreams, and eventually his heart. It's an enjoyable song, I just wish it was longer. Doesn't give me much else to talk about, it's just a nice little break in the album. My Baby Thinks She's French is a song I really wish I liked a lot more. The instrumental is really good, one of my favorites on the whole record. This guitar and its melodious screech is so satisfying when paired with these energetic drums. In fact, the overall melody of this track in general is probably another album highlight for me. But it all comes back to Joe's voice again. This certain almost accent he puts on, really putting way too much enunciation on the E when he's singing. It goes from French to French. Kind of sounds like Eric Cartman trying to sing. Unlike me and Billy the Kid, this one I definitely can get around. and I know I will with time, but the fact that I even have to do that in the first place lowers this track down for me on my rating. It's fairly okay now, but I just wish it was done a bit better. Everybody Got Hammered is finally another song I can truly get behind. I really enjoy this one, and pretty much everything it stands for. I love the intensity of the instrumental, the breaks containing these smacks of what sounds like a cowbell, plus the slightly more looming tempo and being much more rock focused. This instrumental really grips me, and Joe's voice here is very fitting. It's got some good energy to it. He doesn't sound off over this at all, which is really a relief for me as he sings about this crazy party, it seems, where everyone just got completely hammered and shit-faced. Sounded like a damn good time to me with how this was portrayed. Great song. Are You Listenin' Lucky feels a lot more like a tried and true burner of a rock song, something like a Chuck Berry type of a song, very repetitive, simple chorus, a bit more of a bluesy traditional guitar melody. It's a simple track at its core, but with that signature Joe Ely songwriting touch to it, with these lyrics describing this woman who seems to be a real hit of this guy's, who I'm assuming is the Lucky in this song, with Joe telling him what happened to that. She used to be your heart and soul. It's another fairly good track on this album. I don't hate it at all. It certainly feels way longer than it actually is, but hey, still pretty solid. Roll of Dominoes has a little bit more of a foreign flair to it. The guitar has this flamenco flavoring, and the track really gives off this kind of outlaw vibe as a whole, also assisted by Joe's vocals. He sticks to a lower, more menacing register, and it really suits the track. In my eyes, the track goes on for a couple seconds too long. The instrumental breaks here do get a tiny bit tedious, but just very small nitpicks, nothing to fully ruin the track. Lyrically, Joe goes through various scenarios, love, dreaming, memories, and how they all eventually fall like dominoes, some in more positive lights than others. Not a bad track, I quite enjoy it. Silver City is basically the slow jam of this album, and big shocker, I really enjoyed this one. The light shaking of the cymbal paired with the slaps of the drums only makes them more prominent, and the soulful strumming of the acoustic guitar is just pure ear candy. Joe's voice here is probably the best on the entire album. His ability to convey this yearning emotion is top tier, and it only makes me wonder where was this version of him throughout most of the beginning to middle of this album. Lyrically, I couldn't find any correlation to an actual Silver City, but it seems to be this paradise from the outside, but on the inside, it's not all it's built up to be. Can't really make ends meet, and the protagonist here actually ends up in jail for an unknown crime. Reading into the lyrics, it's pretty heartfelt and emotional, and I absolutely love this track. Probably my favorite here. And finally, the closer Screaming Blue Jillians isn't quite the way I would have chose to end an album. It's an alright song. I think there's way too many elements in it as a whole. The multiple guitars each doing their own solos and riffs, the trumpets, the loud drums. It's this cacophonous mixture that just comes off as a bit too much, almost like pure noise. As a result of that, even at his loudest, Joe still feels pretty far in the background, and with this slight echoed effect on him again, it just only sounds worse. Lyrically, it tells the tale of Blue Jillians, a rebellious young man who gets his kicks off sex and rock and roll. What a life. To an extent, the abrasiveness of the instrumental is appropriate, but only to a very minor extent. It's still a bit much in my opinion. Overall, this Joe Ely album definitely wasn't the worst thing I've heard out of all the country I've listened to, but it might have just been one of the more disappointing listens. Instrumental-wise, I thought a lot of the tunes on here were very solid, nice, mostly rock flavors with a country garnish, some slight detours with some working better than others, but it was mainly Joe's clunky, almost improvised delivery at times that kind of sputtered this album out for me. Still, found some decent bangers in here though, and the last leg of the album was mostly pretty good. As a whole, I think I'm feeling about a 6.5 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.